I shot a video recently called the anti-chain message, and what I was talking about that is really making a distinction between my practice and the practice of big chains out there that do hair surgery. And understand that it's really important because I've hired people from these big chains that have used to work there and they understand the cultural difference. So I want to sort of walk you through another concept, what I call the F1 concept. So essentially what this is if you think about an F1 team, the F1 team has to have the best driver, it has to have the best car, it has to have the best crew, it has to have the best management. And if all those ingredients are not there, you don't have a successful victory in F1. You can have the best driver and horrible car and not work. I just watched a video documentary, documentary, I don't know why I call it video a documentary on Michael Schumacher, which, as you probably know, is a very sad story about where he is right now, being paralyzed and all that. But at the time, he was the winningest F1 driver, and he had moved over from what did he move over from? He moved over to Ferrari, okay, and I don't think it was McLaren. Maybe it was Mercedes. I don't remember. But he moved over to moved over to Ferrari, and you think Ferrari is a great company, but at the time it wasn't that great for F1 at that particular era of time. Their head engineer didn't get it. It just wasn't really great for where they were at the time. So Schumacher lost because he did not have the right engineering, did not have the right car, but he's such a talented driver that where he won was during horrible rain conditions. When it teased out a driver in a bad car, he was able to win those races because on a level playing field, when it was dry weather, he had a crappy car, he couldn't beat the opponents. But because he's such an amazing driver, he was able to win the races because he was able to go at a speed and have flawless turns and controls compared to the people that were just too scared to ride very fast. But the point of this is that to win and to do well, you need an amazing team. And so I have an amazing team around me at every single level, from administration to technical support to my team, and I don't change it out. As much as you don't want a different pit crew, you don't want a different car, you don't want a different engineer, I have the same team. And so a lot of times you don't know who you're going to get. A great example is a patient that literally just gave a testimonial for my hair surgery at 3 weeks, said, where he was before, a big chain in Dallas, I won't mention where, the surgeon actually told him, this is my 3rd time I've done hair surgery. I mean, that's pretty ridiculously stupid to say that to a patient, even if it is your 3rd time. I've been doing this over 20 years now. But you can imagine the fear that was instilled in him. And of course, his experience was horrific and his recovery was horrific, because the problem is that when you go to different places, you buy a brand, but that brand is basically hollow. There's nothing with that brand because you don't know which team you're getting. You don't know which surgeon you're getting. You don't know what instrumentation they're using. You just buy a good marketing brand. And so when you come and buy us, you're buying us, not just me, because my team is A1. And that's really important, because why is my team so important? Why is the pit crew so important? Why is the lead engineer so important? Because quality is a multi-step process with no breaks in the chain. So for example, the driver needs to drive the car. Unfortunately, today, you're getting people without even a high school degree that don't have any background in hair, harvesting grafts. And I'm seeing every single week completely destroyed donor hair. I'm seeing patients that should never get a transplant ever in their life because there's no exit on it, getting transplants. And I can't even salvage them at any point, because I always say the number one thing that you have is not the money in your bank account. I don't care if you're a billionaire, okay? What I care about is how much money do you have in your donor bank, and I'm talking about in the back of your head, because that's a finite, non-renewable, ever-depleting resource. There's no such thing as compounded interest when I look at that donor bank. You don't all of a sudden grow more hair. And this is a confusing principle. I just had a consult with a gentleman yesterday who says, so wait, let me get this straight. You take some hair from the back of your head, you put it on top, and then new hair grows back there. No. There's no spontaneous combustion. There is no more hairs. When I take that donor hair, it's gone, and it's not scarless. No matter what kind of online marketing you're reading, there are no, I don't care. You say, well, FUE is scarless. The strip leaves me a bad scar. That is actually false. Both leave you scars, either whether you have punctate dots or a linear scar. The goal is to make those scars very hard to see, but it doesn't allow you to shave your head. So once you've had a transplant, you can't exit on it. And my goal is to make the judgment so that you have the right amount of donor hair for all your future times. So this is a judgment, and a judgment requires experience, and it requires a surgeon's ability to make that judgment, not a salesman, okay? So this team, why is my team important? For example, if I do a facelift, I may have an assistant helping me. And I'll be honest with you, if my assistant is not the best, your facelift result still is the best, because that whole thing falls in my hands, except you have to have the best anesthesiologist. So I can have an assistant who is not the highest caliber, and it will make no difference in your outcome. But in hair, it is not the case. They are dissecting your grafts for strips, and if not dissecting your grafts and they're doing FUE, they are sorting your grafts, they're making sure they're not desiccated. If you leave a graft out they've shown this, in Ganelman's study, they've shown in 3 minutes, if you leave a graft out for 3 minutes, that graft won't survive, okay? And that's so very, very, very important, is that what they're doing, if their placement is off, no matter what beautiful design I did, no matter what I did from the harvest, it will not survive. Your grafts won't survive. So that F1 team is the concept of success, of every little component of the entire piece needs to work together for successful outcomes. You cannot have just the surgeon delivering the results. You need to have all the pieces together to make an amazing, amazing outcome. So this is so important that you understand quality over quantity, and culture is critical. The culture of a team is so critical. The culture starts from the top, not from the bottom, starts from me. If my culture says, I want to make as much money as I can, I don't care about you, I don't care about ethics, I need to take every dollar I can from you, then there's going to be a problem all the way down the chain. And that is a problem. So when you look at big companies, there's a huge culture of greed. There's a huge culture where the salesman has got to close the deal, and you'll feel it. When you're done with that consultation, you'll absolutely know that what they're asking for is your money. And as I have said, a large part of what I do is I turn people away. And so where one of my my F1 team members, so to speak, used to work, they would split all the grafts so they get their numbers. Oh, I'm going to sell you 4,500 grafts. It's crazy. And they're splitting all those hairs into a single one-hair grafts. There's no survival. There's no density. Oh, wait, you got the numbers, but you have absolutely no result to show for it. The grafts don't survive. They look weak, and they die. So a huge thing is quality, and that's what the goal of an F1 team is, and I have an F1 team.